Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Enjoyable and Sustainable Prayer. We are currently on value number 12. Okay, we've gone a lot really far together about these 16 values of how to have enjoyable and sustainable prayer, both individually but also in a corporate context. How can you really enjoy God through prayer and make it a consistent part of your day and part of your life? And so today we're going to talk about value number 12, which is very important actually, which is value number 12 is the necessity of perseverance. And there's a lot of cool things I could say about the need for perseverance. I can give you some bullet points, and I will. But before that, we need to get some good examples of people in the Bible who rose up, stirred themselves up, and laid hold of God, and God moved and answered them in prayer. And so I'm going to give two different examples. The first one is a woman who had an issue of blood. It's found in Luke chapter 8. So Luke chapter 8 verse 43 says, "Now a woman having a flow of blood of 12 years, who had spent all her livelihood on physicians and could not be healed by any, came from behind and touched the border or the edge of his garment, and immediately her flow of blood stopped. And Jesus said, 'Who touched me?' When all denied it, Peter and those with him said, 'Master, the multitudes throng and press you, and you say, Who touched me?' But Jesus said, 'Somebody touched me, and I perceive power going out of me.' Now the woman that saw that she was not hidden, she came trembling and falling down before him. She declared to him in the presence of all the people the reason she had touched him and how she was healed immediately. And he said to her, 'Daughter, be of good cheer. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace.'" So this story is a phenomenal example of somebody who was perseverant in the place of prayer. And the best way I can say this is that she spent all of her livelihood on physicians to try to see if she can get healed from this disease that she had. And she was not healed by any. So she spent all of her life, all of her money, all of her livelihood to be well, and nothing was happening. Which is a source of much discouragement. Like, they're consistently not well. That means your energy is low. Makes you discouraged, depressed. So many negative feelings in that moment. And then when she knew that Jesus was coming by, what she did is she went beyond the discouragement. She went beyond the trauma in her life of all the times that she was sick and couldn't get better. And she believed something, and she pressed in and touched God's garment and believed that if she could just touch the edge of his garment, she would be made well, and she was. So this is an example of a godly example of what persevering prayer looks like. I think the hardest thing for her was not the pain itself, but the emotional pain of decades of having just being discouraged and not wanting to do anything and being unmotivated. Having the courage to go and touch the edge of God's garment and be healed it's a huge feat and a huge thing for this man to do. I want to give you one more example of man who was persistent in the place of prayer and perseverance. And that's Mark chapter 10, the life of blind Bartimaeus. Mark chapter 10, verse 46. "Now they came to Jericho. As he went, now they, meaning Jesus and his disciples, as he went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great multitude, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the road begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, 'Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me.' Then many warned him to be quiet, but he cried all the more, 'Son of David, have mercy on me.' So Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. Then they called the blind man, saying to him, 'Be of good cheer, rise, he is calling you.' And throwing aside his garment, he arose and came to Jesus. So Jesus answered and said to him, 'What do you want me to do for you?' The blind man said to him, 'Rabboni, that I may receive my sight.' Then Jesus said to him, 'Go your way, your faith has made you well.' And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road." So this man is another example of persistent prayer, because he was just having his beggarly garment, living that lifestyle, because that's all he knew. Everything he knew is he couldn't see anything. And then when he heard that Jesus was coming, he had faith and rose up and stirred himself up from the discouragement that he would have been in that moment. And he cried out. One of Jesus' favorite phrases that caused him to heal people was "Son of David." And so he's saying, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And as a result of his crying out, the people made fun of him and said, "Be quiet. You're agitating society. You shouldn't be doing this. Why are you doing this? It's not that important." And then but it caused Jesus to stand still, to look at him, and then he says it's a phenomenal statement. "What shall I do for you?" Basically, he gives Jesus. Jesus gives Bartimaeus this open check, kind of whatever you want, I'll give it to you, because you have stirred yourself up to lay hold of me. And so this is an example of two people that I strive and want to be like. Not my own strength, obviously. This is not something that I gotta like wrestle myself down to do it, but just being open and available to, in any way possible, to position myself to receive from God. I'm not deserving of it. I deserve nothing, entitled to nothing but hell. But Christ gave us the Holy Spirit so we can cry out to him for mercy, that we could have perseverance in the place of prayer until something happens in the Spirit. And so prayer is a wrestle. It's a wrestle in our mind, our will, and emotions. Not just physically, even though that is true too. It's tiring. Some people think if you have never done 2 or 3 hours of prayer at one time, it's a tiring event. It's a tiring thing to do, to labor in that place. But it's also wrestle in mind, will, and emotions, because it seems like it doesn't happen. It seems in the moment like prayer is not working, and then all of a sudden you see the result. Maybe 5 minutes later or 50 years later, you see the result of what you prayed for, and it came to pass. And so these are two different examples of what it looks like to pray and perseverance. And so what I encourage you to do, to just spend 30 minutes in prayer, talking to the Lord, and just praying in the Spirit for just 30 minutes, contending for grace to go deep with God and not be distracted by these things. These guys were not distracted. These guys are the ones that they took the distractions out of their lives to focus in on the Lord and talk to him in those moments. So I just encourage you guys to just spend, if you have your prayer language, to pray in the Spirit, pray in tongues for 30 minutes. If you don't, just speak soft whispers to the Lord, like, "I love you, Jesus," or "Jesus, make me a person of prayer. Above everything else, let my value be to talk to you as a high priority in my life." That would be my first commandment, that it would be in first place. So there you go. That's value number 12, the necessity of perseverance. If you like this, you can go back and check out my other posts about enjoyable and sustainable prayer. You can also check out some of my posts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and my website as well. So there you go. That's value number 12. I look forward to seeing you guys next time.